Hi everyone and welcome to my channel Wild Heart Warrior. So today I want to talk about something that I've talked about in other videos, especially the one where I talk about why I named my channel Wild Heart Warrior. And that is this idea of living a heart-based life or following my heart. So I want to talk about what that means to me and how I do that, kind of. I want to talk about what are some of the blocks or resistance that I find in this process and why I think that it's so important these days and always. So I think this is something that's always been important to me and something that I've always done. So I remember when I was really young, I've always suffered from anxiety. And when I was younger, I would sign up to do these things. Like one time I did a, mini boot camp in high school or junior high. Or going to camp or going rock climbing camp or, you know, going to this random event or this random job or whatever it was. And I would get really, really anxious before I had to go. Like just jumping into the unknown was always terrifying to me. And I remember, before I came to Colombia, that was a great example. I was crying. I was hungover and my mom was comforting me. I was like, I don't know why I want to leave Boston. Everything was so good. I was just having a great time. And I had made this decision to come to another country and it felt scary and it felt like I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what I was doing and I was freaking out. And my mom was like, she knew it was going to be okay. And I'm still in Colombia almost 10 years later, so of course it worked out. But I got here because I knew in my heart that I had to get on that plane. I knew that I had to come here. Even though it was difficult, it was like my whole inner self knew that was the right place for me to go. And then I had to do it anyways. So it's always been something that I follow even when it's difficult, even when I'm unsure about it, even when I want to run away screaming, I still find it so important to follow my heart, and it's gotten me to where I am today. So trying to think of how to describe how I sense this, the difference between following my heart versus, making like a, I don't know, more rational maybe decision or something like that. Is that, have you ever made like a pros and cons list about something, and the pros list, for example, is like, yeah, it's got like 20 different things that are amazing. And on the cons list, it's like got maybe one or two, and you're like, okay, yes, I should do it. But there's something in you that just is like, I don't want to do that. Like something inside of you is telling you no, or vice versa, to do something, even though there's not many good reasons, logical reasons why. It's just like, I just have to, I just got to do it. Or, when you were like trying to make a decision with your friends, let's flip a coin. And then it lands on one, and then you're like, there's something in you that's like, oh, actually I did want the other one. It's that knowing that, like, even if you feel, no, I'm indecisive, I don't really know, or I don't really care, or I don't know what to do. But when you're faced with the reality of making one decision or the other, there is a part of you that knows. And I think that that's one of the ways that I can identify it. So, thinking of the pros and cons list, and I can be like, okay, if I imagine this situation, what do I feel in my body? So one of the things that I think is important about this is that it's something that you feel in your body. And we're not taught to feel things in our body, right? It's like more like a mental thing. I feel this way because, and it's not like I feel it here in my chest or I feel it in my stomach or something like that. But, when they tell you like, listen to your gut, right? What's your gut instinct telling you? That's because you feel that feeling in your stomach, like, oh, I need to go over this way, or I need to do this, or I need to run away because something's scary, or I need to go in the store, or I don't know, there's some gut instinct. And so it's something that we feel in our body. And so this, when I listen to my heart, it's usually physical in some way. So that's one way you can tap in, is to, close your eyes and imagine one scenario or the other and see how your body feels when you're doing that. And that can be a sign, a good way to listen to your heart and what it's trying to tell you. Another thing is that when I'm overthinking things, or when I'm trying to rationalize or make a logical decision, I can think myself in circles and not get anywhere. And I can explain all the things on one side and all the things on the other side, and I can just go in circles because it doesn't get me anywhere, because there's always going to be two sides to every story, and I can tell myself both of the stories over and over again. But there's always going to be that little voice that's solid and persistent and telling us, no, this is what it is. So I think that when I listen to my instinct or my intuition or my heart, it's usually a quieter voice, and solid, not so wishy-washy, not so frantic or anxious or uncertain or changing. It's very solid. Another thing I notice about this voice, to say it like that, is that if I don't listen to it, usually I'll find the resistance. Like if I knew I was supposed to make a certain decision and I didn't listen to myself, I find the resistance comes up physically. Something will go wrong, or something will happen where I'm like, I knew I was supposed to do that other thing. I knew it, right? And we say that all the time, and we don't really think about what that means. Like, I knew I wasn't supposed to do that, or I knew I shouldn't have come to this thing, or I knew I shouldn't have done that. And we meet that resistance in reality. Or, it just keeps getting louder until we have to follow it. So those are kind of two ways that I can describe it. It's in our body, and it's solid and knows. But so some issues with this is that we are never really taught how to listen to that, right? We're taught to listen to, do what we're told and to follow the rules and, all these things that we're supposed to do. And I think that this is especially true for women. And, just do as you're told, follow the rules, be a nice girl. And we're not taught to listen to that inner voice of knowing, which is so much power. And I think that I've found it so empowering to realize that in the end, I always know, I always have the answer myself. Because throughout my life, I've always looked for answers, and I still do this. I think it's really important to look for external advice or thoughts on what you're working through, because it's a reflection of what you really feel. So pay attention to how you feel when you're talking to somebody about a decision you have to make, or about what you're feeling, because if you feel resistance to what they're feeling, then that's telling you something. Or if you just feel really affirmed when you're talking to someone, then that's a good sense too. When you go to a certain friend to talk to, and you want them to tell you, that they're going to tell you what you want to hear. And that's kind of a confirmation of what I know that I want to do, or I know. And even if it might not be the best idea or the best choice according to whoever else, in the end, it's probably what you need to do, because I'm not saying that it's always going to lead you the path of rainbows and butterflies, because sometimes we need to make decisions that, are difficult because we have to learn something. And, or on the other hand, it can lead us to something really amazing. But I think that that voice is always going to lead us to where we need to be in our process. And it's always going to choose the thing that is the best for our higher good and the people around us, and the planet. I believe that. So it's hard sometimes to believe that, to trust it, to say, okay, I know, all these people or my friends or my family or whatever is telling me I shouldn't do this, but I know I need to, so I'm just going to do it. And trust that's the right thing. So one thing is being able to listen to it and really decipher or discern between you're overthinking your thought process and this inner knowing, like your what your heart is really telling you. And then trusting in that and believing that it's okay to follow that and to maybe not do what you're supposed to do because it doesn't feel good for you. It doesn't feel right, so don't do it. I think that's so important because right now, you think about the world that we're in. There's these shoulds and these rules that we're supposed to follow. A lot of them were created by these systems that are not working for us, like the patriarchy and white supremacy and capitalism and all of these things that are not serving us. And so when we decide to follow our heart, we meet resistance because it's not what we're supposed to do according to these systems and these ideologies. But clearly, these are not working. They're not serving our planet. They're not serving humanity. And we can see that especially right now with all of the inequality that is just coming to the surface and all of this conflict. And, it's really hectic right now. And I think that the lesson is that we need to listen more to our hearts and walking a path that is serving us and our health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. And when we follow that, it always is going to lead us down a path that is more aligned with our own best interests, I guess, but that is always going to be aligned with the best interests of our communities and with the planet when we really listen to that. I think it's other systems, other thought processes that lead us down destructive paths. So right now, when not only are those systems not serving us, but they're all really uncertain right now. And so when we lose our external bearing, I think it's really important to remember who we are and remember our inner knowing, remember our power, especially in our own lives, to make the best decisions for us, for what we need, for what we want to accomplish, for living our healthiest, most aligned life. And for me, the only way to do that is by following my heart. So it's not always an easy path. There's resistance, there's uncertainty, there's making mistakes and trying again. It's an ongoing process for me in learning how to trust and listen to myself. But the one thing that I know and I keep coming back to no matter what is that it's really the only choice. It's really the best way. So yeah, I hope that this makes sense for you guys, and I hope that it's helpful in some ways to you. I would love to know about your processes about following your heart and difficulties that you have with it, or questions that you have about it. I would love to talk more about it. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you like what you see, subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.